Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very fabulous Wednesday here at Adobe Live on Behance. I'm with the fabulous Tim Best. How are you doing, Tim?
Oh, it's amazing to be here again. And
I love the fact
to
we're on
have the
stream
Wednesday
together.
with you.
Oh, Tim.
It's
And we're doing After Effects and
fantastic. Yeah,
audio
your
in
favorite
After
app, I've
Effects.
heard.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I use it a lot, so I'm here for this. I absolutely love it. And yeah, we're here for an hour and a half today.
That's
So
right.
we're going to really get into the apps. So everybody's turning out to come and join us for the stream today.
Well,
And
they
I know
better
that
be.
Andreas was first in Behance today. So hey, Andreas, and Sandrine is here, Oliver as well. So as you get into come and join us over on Behance. If you're watching on YouTube, come over to Behance and you can ask questions and I'll make sure that they get asked. So yeah, and Sandrine hopes that you're sporting waterproof mascara today, Tim.
That's my secret. I always am.
Well, it's needed, isn't it? It's so needed.
And today
I love
I've
it.
chosen the no sleep for 3 days look. You can see.
It's
very fashionable.
No sleep. It looks good.
Stop it. Do continue.
No, do you know what it is though? I think since the clocks went back, I don't know. Everybody's been tired. When I say everybody, only the people that I've spoken to. But if you're tired,
Is it only the people you talk to? Like, oh, I feel tired.
I know. That's what it is. Coffee. So yes,
right.
But I'm looking forward to today. Although I'm a little worried about the tracks in your audio collection that you might be.
It's fine.
Reference. And by the way, your mug is hilarious. It's a mug within a mug within a mug. So talk us through this, Tim. And by the way, did you make this?
This we had like a screenshot from the chat, a very funny one. Then I did a screenshot of that screenshot. Then one of our colleagues in the US did a screenshot of that screenshot of that screenshot. Then I printed it on a mug, which you can see there. Then I took a photo of that mug, sent it to him. He then printed it on a mug, and then I printed,
You took a picture of his mug, and then put it. That is, I mean, a lot of thought and effort has gone into that. That's like the perfect Secret Santa present. If you were to buy one for someone, like that is the thought, the level.
So now I have a mug with a picture of a mug, which has a picture of a mug, which has a picture of a screenshot, which has a picture of another screenshot, and 2 more screenshots down.
Brilliant.
Taste
Absolutely
the pixels.
Brilliant.
Anyway, that's not why we're here, though.
No, After Effects and audio. Yeah.
That's right.
Sorry, I won't do that again. I'm just excited.
Oh, you better be. It's going to be amazing. Right. So let's hop on over to my computer. Just going to move that microphone out of the way. And there we are. Yes. We are going to be working in After Effects today. And it's going to be all about audio and how you can use it. What's like some cool effects. And all going to be in After Effects. Traditionally, an app you wouldn't think of using with audio, but we certainly should take a look at it. So, of course, I have prepared a couple of assets, as always. Oh, no, not that close. There we go, that's better. Because we, of course, we need some audio to show the features with. And I've prepared 3 songs. We will probably only need 1, so chat if you like. You can pick your favorite. We can have a quick listen through. I think all of them have never been heard in Adobe Live before. First of all, we have this wonderful song by Tony.
This is genius.
Good morning, guten Tag, good morning, guten Morgen. Eva Huamenta. Good morning, guten Morgen, good morning, guten Morgen, good morning, konnichiwa.
Anyway, that's the first one. Then
that is hilarious.
I found a very funny song on Adobe Stock which for some reason has a chicken in it.
That's quite funky. This is quite funky. On cue. How did you find that, by the way? Can we just pause there? How did you get to that? Did you search chicken funk?
Sometimes I spend many nights, long hours on different stock websites such as Adobe Stock, and I just find some gems.
Brilliant. Well, it is a gem. Absolutely. I mean, chickens in funky jazz, almost.
And finally, we also have this one.
Tim, oh my goodness.
Let me just...
There's too much echo. You really slowed this down. Oh my God.
Oops, I did it again.
This is an awful
I think I'm on mute. Hey, can you hear me?
Right.
Okay, thanks for that. Oh my goodness.
So...
This is what we get up to, everybody, in the background. This is Tony sends us songs of good morning in multiple languages. I sing parodies on Britney Spears songs. And there are songs on with chickens and funky music. So who knew?
Right. So which one should we use? Let's see.
Jane says, is that really you, Maddie? Yes, Jane. It's, yeah.
Well, personally, I would go with this one because it's nice and short.
Yes.
Right, okay.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's go and let's use this one. Also, I've prepared 2 other images which we will need in just a moment. Right. So first of all, I'm going to take this and just drag and drop it onto the project panel, just like this. After Effects will go ahead, create a new project. No, I don't want to save it. Let's try that again. There we are. Right. Okay. We are on a new project now, and I've imported this file as an MP3. You can see it has a waveform. And if I now take this and I just drag it onto a new composition, we see it will be loaded in. And what's new, or what we haven't seen before, is that there's a new icon which looks exactly like a loudspeaker in there. And this is there instead of just the eyeball, because obviously we can't see sound yet. So we are usually listening to that. So this is essentially just the layer visibility, but instead of seeing it, of course, we're listening to it. So if I play this back, we won't be able to hear anything. And if I bring it back,
Guten Tag. Good morning.
there it is. Right. We can also have a look at the audio levels. If I tap L twice, we get the waveform. So there we can see what's happening.
Oh, that's good. How come that doesn't come up straight away, Tim? Like you have to know to press double L to get into that.
I mean, L is just bringing up the audio levels. And you could also twirl that down here, but yeah, double L. There you go. Much easier. Okay. Just going to turn down the normal music a bit because obviously we don't want to cross paths. Right. So what I actually don't want to talk too much about is the normal audio effects in After Effects, because in the Effects and Presets panel, we do have the category called Audio. In there, we have some very basic but quite useful audio effects, such as like an EQ, so we can manage the bass and the treble, make it more boomy or make it more bright, perhaps. We can also add a delay, which sounds then a bit like an echo. Right? We can also put it backwards if we want to find out if there are any secret messages in audio, any backmasking. This is how we could find out. However, usually I wouldn't use those effects since apps like Audition or even Premiere are much more involved with audio processing. You can go really much deeper. So at least I wouldn't process my audio in After Effects unless I really had to. However, there are some quite useful things you should know. For example, we can, if we tap on L again to bring up the audio levels, we can keyframe the audio levels. So let's say we have this track and we want it to fade out like after 25 seconds. We can enable the stopwatch, bring that all the way down. You can see the waveform is
Yeah.
Mirroring the behavior, and here bring it back to 0. And now we can see, oh, no, I don't want to add a layer marker. I want to zoom in. We can see we have this fade out. Of course, we could even ease that property if we wanted to. Doesn't really make too much sense, but you can see now we have a lovely fade out. So if I play that back, I'm just going to make the sound a bit quieter so it's not that loud. Very easy, right?
That's really good.
So this is really a quick way if you just want to fade out something and you couldn't be bothered to use Adobe Sensei Remix like we have in Premiere or in Audition. Yeah, sometimes you just want to fade out. Or maybe you just want to remove the first part. So that's how you could do it. And those are just one of the basic effects. I can go ahead and like add the parametric equalizer, and you can see we have some effects, but this is, I wouldn't really do that in Audition. We can, like, the filter right now would be adding some bass, but yeah. Actually,
I'm really like, oh, sorry, Tim, you go.
No,
and then
go on.
Well, I was going to say the workflow for this would be that you would edit your track in Audition or Premiere Pro, bring it into After Effects, and then these kind of edits that we're making here are almost like, you know, more aligned to the graphics or the thing, you know, the motion and stuff that's going on.
Yeah,
right?
in After Effects,
hardcore.
usually you would more focus on the video side. And that's exactly what we are about to do, because if we were to stop here, that would be quite a short stream. So, thanks for watching and bye. So instead, I will quit that composition and let's create a new one. And we will call that song for Adobe Live. Our song for Adobe Live. All right, if you want to know more about setting up this composition, watch some of the other streams. We have covered this many times before, so I'm not going to do that right now. I will only change it to about 50 seconds, since I happen to know the song is 50 seconds long, roughly. And click OK. And there we are. Right, new composition. Nothing fancy so far, just going to fit that. And here we go. And what I thought is we could maybe, create a visualizer for our music. Perhaps we are an upcoming artist and we would like to share our music, and we already have uploaded to Spotify and everywhere that music is streamed, but we also like to upload it to YouTube. And instead of just adding our album art as a static image, we would like to have something to look at. Right?
Yeah.
So how can we do that? Turns out it's quite easy and fun. So let's actually do that by starting to bring back the music. There it is. Just tap L for the levels. We can see, yep, 50 seconds. That looks about right. And now let's build our look. And I'm going to start with just a quick solid, like a nice dark blue. Yep, that looks great, just as a background. It doesn't really matter where the audio is sitting in the layer hierarchy, because it's not visual, it doesn't matter. So there, I could put it down here, I could put it right at the top. That would make no difference at all. Like, really, nothing is. Doesn't matter. Right. Okay. So what I thought is we could maybe have some text, and we could add like the song title. And of course, this one would be
What are we going with this for? Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. And I think this one deserves even just another O, because it's good morning.
And Tim, I've got to ask, because this is Tony recording himself singing "Good Morning" across multiple tracks, but that we received in our group chat, over time. How did you edit this? Did you just put this into Audition and just add it? Like, because you played that, did you play the bass, or like what did you do?
No.
How did it get to this point?
Yes, Tony did send us individual messages. Like each morning, he said, "Good morning, Guten Tag."
Yeah.
who am I? Which I'm sure I've butchered that. Yes, I took it into my audio processing app and added some music to that by cutting together the different snippets. Unfortunately,
Very clever.
I can't show it here
Oh, no worries. I just wanted to know how this had come about.
because
I
it
know that
was
you
made
played.
in Audition. Right. Moving on. Welcome to Adobe Live. Yes. Unfortunately, no, but truth be told, Audition unfortunately doesn't have support for MIDI, which is like a musical language. So I can't use my virtual instruments such as the bass in Audition.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it used to have it quite a while ago, but they removed it unfortunately, so I can't use it. That's just the way it is. So yeah, back to this.
And on this, Sandrine has a question for you.
Yeah.
Sandrine says, I'm wondering what can be done with audio that people are used to doing animation with. So she says, in brackets, whip link it to sync to the video, for example. So how do they? Yeah. How do they do that?
Very interesting question. I wonder if we could do something like base an animation on the music.
Yeah.
That's how very interesting. Let's keep that in mind. Okay. So, of course, we also need the... no, I always type T for the type tool, which of course doesn't work since it just opens the opacity. Okay. We need the artist. I think this one is called TNT Records. Just make that smaller. And how about a medium font? Right. Just quickly align those. Where's my align panel? There it is. Fantastic. All right. And on the left side, I would like to have like a record that's spinning. Right, that would be fun.
Cool.
And I would also like to have a nice background. I would like to have some audio visualizers so it looks, we can see the music a bit. So that would be fun. That's my idea for the stream. Okay, so gonna start with the record. We could of course go to Adobe Stock and find a pre-made one, or we can make our own. I think that's much more fun. And also a cool way just to learn how to create shapes out of basic elements in After Effects. And a record, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it's really just a circle with some lines in it, so we ought to make that, right? Shouldn't be too difficult. So let's go here. How about this size? Yeah. Right. Find a nice color. Records are usually quite dark. Something like this. And of course, we actually don't want a stroke. So get rid of that. Just like that. And then I'm going to duplicate that. Remove the fill, because now I'm adding the record grooves. So we actually do want a stroke. And there's our first one. And what I'm going to do now is going to use a very sneaky way to create all the different grooves that are going inwards by adding an offset path effect. And of course, we actually don't want them to go outside. We want them to go inside like this. You can see I'm now adding that. And I want a couple of copies.
Cool.
There we are.
And Sandrine has said that the lines are called grooves because it's groovy, right?
It is.
Very good.
Nicely
Very
done. Okay. And of course, I'm going to reduce the opacity of them. We just want a hint. And yes, I do know that actual grooves, it would be a spiral, not concentric lines, but oh well. I couldn't be bothered drawing a spiral right now. Okay, and maybe we could add like a reflection. That's so like spinning around, that could be fun. So I'm just going to quickly call that reflection. I'm going to use the gradient, the 4-color gradient, pick white for this and black for that. And this, of course, I mean, I do know this has nothing to do with actual audio, but I think it's more fun to have like something to look at instead of just going through the effects one by one and showing them in a vacuum. Where like, yeah, okay, and I get how they work, but how am I supposed to use them? Like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So we actually will have a look at that in just a moment, and we will have enough time. It's like there are only 2 effects I would like to talk about today, so it will be plenty of time. Okay. So now I'm actually going to use one of the new features. I'm going to clip this reflection layer to the shape layer by using the pick whip. There we go. And moving the reflection to right here. And of course now we can change the blending mode to perhaps soft light. Ooh, look at that. No, I don't want to search.
Very nice.
And suddenly we have like this sort of reflection on the record plate. And the nice thing is, if we take the rotation, look at that. The record is spinning. Amazing.
And how are you rotating that? Are you just clicking? Are you clicking like a
I'm
play?
literally just rotating the reflection layer.
Oh.
You can see I've moved the anchor point so it's in the center of the record.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can just take the rotation and spin it.
I see. Fab. Looks good.
Right?
Easy. Very easy.
Okay.
Just to produce something like that. Really good.
Also, we need, I suppose we need like the album art in the center because usually there's like a label in there. So I've prepared, as you might have guessed, I went to Adobe Stock, found this amazing stock image.
I love this. This
Right?
is cool.
This
Yeah,
just
really
screamed record label to me. It's like, oh yeah,
Cool image, isn't it? Yeah.
fantastic. I'm not sure if that one is a free one. Can't remember now. But if you type that number in, I'm sure you will find out. Okay, so let's bring that in and scale that down to right about here. Looks about right. And we're just gonna align them to make sure they are in the center of the plate. Now they are. And of course we need to mask that object, and I'm probably just going to take this shape layer. By the way, the reason why it was blue, why it's looking blue now, is I have, when you a track mat, like we just did, we took this track mat and linked it, the original layer becomes invisible. Which is usually a thing you want when using track mats, because if you're using something as a mask, you usually don't want to see that mask, that layer. In this case, we actually do want to see it, because otherwise the record would be transparent. And that's not a good idea. So just going to bring that back, and now we have our gray record back. I'm going to just duplicate that with Command or Control D. Scale it all the way down, and of course we actually have a small issue right there. It's scaling towards the center of the composition because that's where the anchor point is.
Yeah.
But we want to scale it towards this center. So how can we fix that? It's quite easy. Luckily, we can just hold Control or Command and double click the pan behind tool, which is up here. So pay attention to this anchor point right here. I will just hold down Command or Control, double click, and boom. It moved to the center of the layer, which is just a shortcut for move anchor point to center of visible area with the layer. You can also go via layer. I think it was under, oh dear, transform. Yep, there we go. Center anchor point in layer content. You can either just click on that, use this shortcut, or hold down Control or Command and double click the pan behind tool.
Cool.
Those are 3 ways you can achieve this. And hi, Jack. Nice. Thanks for joining. Okay. Right. So going back, I think this was the layer. I'm just going to scale that down And now we can see it actually is going towards the center. Zooming in so we can properly have a look at that. And even though we won't be able to see it, I would just change the color so we can at least see what's going on. Because now we will link that layer together. And there we are.
Very good.
And now it's actually independent of how much I scale it. It will only show in the center of the cover area. And I reckon about here, I think that would be nice. Finally, to add a spindle, because usually records are sitting on like a metal pin, which they spin around. So we can just probably take this layer, duplicate that again, move this one all the way up, actually above the artwork, and bring that down to right about, I would say, here.
And hey to everyone that's just joined us, by the way. I can see that we've had lots of people that's just joined the stream. So hey to Sean, hey Jack, hey Dee.
Hello there.
General Kenobi. So hello everyone. And if you're watching and you want to ask Tim any questions, we're looking at After Effects and audio today. So
Yes.
Jump into Behance and let us know.
And the good thing is, right now you haven't missed a lot because we are still setting everything up, and we will actually use this template then to show how I would use the audio effects, which is the main focus of this stream. Who would have thought? But we still have an hour, so we're all good. And I'm also just going to quickly post the link to the Behance chat on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, there you go. There's the link. That's the chat we're paying attention to. Right. Cool. Now we have our record. I would like to have this spinning automatically. And of course, we need to make sure the label is spinning along with the reflection, because otherwise it would look a bit odd if the label starts spinning but the record itself isn't moving. So we could either parent the rotation to the label, or what I will do is I will create a new null object and open the rotation and just parent the rotation of that image to the null object and do the same with the reflection. Now would be probably a good time to name our layers. Reflection, there we go. It is already named. Still couldn't find it. Right.
Always name the layers. I keep thinking of Annika when I think of naming layers on the stream. She's always there.
Yes.
Say.
All right. So I have now linked those properties. And now if I rotate the null object, you can see both the reflection and the album art. They are both moving. And now, instead of manually having to rotate that, I would just use a very quick expression. To learn more about expressions, watch my Adobe After Effects expressions stream.
That was a good stream. Yeah, that was good. Yeah,
So,
I remember that.
But just as a recap, to add an expression, hold down Option, click on the stopwatch. You know you did it right when the text turns red. This usually is a bad thing, but in this case, it's a good thing. Red in this case means it's working. And now I'm just going to type in time. Time's about 40. So if we play that back.
Good morning.
Way too slow. Of course, we could now link that to a slider so we can dynamically change the speed. But I'm just going to say that maybe 60.
Good morning. Guten Tag. Good morning. Guten Morgen. Iva Huamenta.
Okay, I think that's working. Right. Now.
You know, when that image is small, Tim, I don't know why, but it looks like one of the Muppets. From when it's this small, like a Muppet with its arms in the air, like.
Yeah, I can see that.
So good, so good.
Okay, right. So, by the way, if you've just joined us, you have missed two other amazing songs. Maybe we'll have a listen again at the end of the stream. Who knows? Okay. Right, now we have our audio playing. It's all going well so far. So let's actually have a look at all the different audio effects we can use. But
Yes.
might be a good idea. Let's say we don't always want to listen to the song all the time when we play that back. Let's have a look at some of the settings we can tweak in After Effects to modify the behavior of audio playback. Starting with the audio panel up here. You can see we have a bunch of meters and some sliders. Ooh, interesting. If we play that back,
Good morning. Guten Tag.
we can see the audio levels are going in. We can change the volume of the channels. We can change the overall volume. If it's just too loud for us, we can bring that down. I've already brought down the volume on my mixer, so it's not too loud. Otherwise, it would blow your ears out. It's quite a good song. And now it's quieter. Right? So yeah, easy way for you to adjust the volume of your audio if that's important. Second thing we should definitely talk about is maybe if you're not hearing anything. There could be two reasons for that in After Effects, why you aren't hearing audio. Well, three reasons if you count disabling the audio playback down here. Then it's three reasons. But I would like to direct your attention to the preview panel, which, if we have a look, has also a button called Play Audio in Preview. So if you uncheck that, you can see it turns into a small crossed out sign. Now it's no longer playing audio. Maybe you are already sick of the song after 5 times of listening through it. Could be a good way just to get rid of the audio. But I like it, so we're just going to leave that on for the moment. The next thing, and the third property you should check, is inside the Adobe After Effects preferences. So under After Effects preferences, go to, on Windows it's Edit Preferences, it's not under After Effects. We have a look at the audio hardware. This is really important only once when you first set up your audio chain, or maybe if you are changing devices frequently. We can specify device class. This is, if you're on a Mac, it's always Core Audio. You will probably never change it. On Windows, you have different classes. Usually, it's probably set to something called MME. There's also WARP or WASRPE API, I think. And there might be like direct sound. I'm not sure if I remember all of them now. Yeah, it might be worth checking through them. Some of them behave better or worse depending on how your system is being set up. And if you have an audio interface, so if you're more in the Pro section, usually people just plug in their headphones straight into the computer. But if you have like a more advanced audio device, such as like the one I have, like a Scarlett, then you might also see something called ASIO or ASIO. Maybe at some point we can do a stream about that, but certainly for today, doesn't matter too much, since as long as you have the proper device selected here, you should be fine. I have a couple of more devices because I'm, of course, streaming, so I do have a couple of those which you probably won't see on your computer. You will most likely just have your speakers and maybe headphones. So this is where you should check that.
Sean says in the chat, I didn't think Windows had more class.
Furthermore, we have the I/O buffer size. This is also a set and forget setting. You should probably never have to look at that again. 60 actually, that's quite low. This is only important if you ever are hearing any stuttering. So your audio is breaking up. If you hear that, then it might be worth increasing the size. Usually I have it at 256. On Windows, it's if you don't have an audio interface, it might even be at 1024. Play around, see if you have any issues. Try to set it as low as possible, but as high as you need it. So if you're running into any issues, set it a bit higher. But if you can go lower, try to go lower. My machine is quite powerful, so it doesn't really matter too much. Sample rate, yep, that's fine. We could go higher, but it doesn't matter. Finally, the mapping. this is important if you have a device with many audio outputs, like mine has about 20. There are like 20 jacks you can hook into. Yours probably will have 2. So you will be fine by just setting the first 2. And like I said, that's a set and forget setting. You will never need to change it again, probably. So yeah, those are the 3 things you should check if you're not hearing any audio. Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Now let's get to the fun part. We have done all the work.
Yes.
Now it's getting interesting because I would like to talk about 2 main effects today in the stream, which you can find by typing in audio. They are under the generate category, and they are audio spectrum and audio waveform. They're sort of like cousins. They do very similar things, but there's a key difference between them. One is more likable than the other, but the other one makes great biscuits. I don't know. Cool.
Very good.
Let's start with the easy one, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just gonna twirl all that down by selecting, by the way, Command A, and then you can clean it up like this, so it takes less space.
And Tim, am I right in thinking, right, that if at any point now, let's say I'm working with some audio in After Effects, and I think, oh, do you know what? I need to edit this. I really need to just make some changes. Then I could go into Adobe Audition. I could work on the track, and then how quickly would it sync to what I'm working on in After Effects for me to continue working in After Effects after my changes? Is it just based on, I guess, once you've saved it and it's in your Creative Cloud libraries?
Well, if you're working with After Effects in Premiere, you have dynamic link. It's instant.
Yeah, it's instant.
But I'm not sure if you can work with dynamic link in After Effects in Audition. I've never tried that, honestly.
I think that they're connected, but I think that it's probably got to wait for you to save it to the cloud.
I've always went through the Premiere route. So Premiere is sitting in the center and like grabbing After Effects like this, and Audition, and Premiere was always sitting in the center. I've never had After Effects in the center of the chain, so I don't know. Might be worth checking out. I unfortunately don't have an Audition file ready to show.
No worries.
So
I just thought I'd ask.
We can check. Yeah, good question though. Right. So audio waveform. Let's create a new solid. Color doesn't matter since it will be going away anyway. And let's take audio waveform and drop it on the solid. I'm just going to solo that layer for a moment so we can see what's going on. We are starting with a very boring line. Well, that's not interesting. But we can make this more fun by having a look at the effect properties up in the upper left corner. Here we go. First of all, we need to select the audio layer which it should take the information from. In this case, it's starting with itself. It's a dark blue solid. There's no audio on it, certainly. So we should definitely see if we maybe can find, oh, there it is, the goodmorningtony.mp3 layer. And immediately you will see, oops, something is happening. Now this might look very similar to what you're seeing down here. Maybe if I zoom in a bit, you can definitely see the similarities. Like something is happening, definitely. And if I'm going to play that back, I'm just going to reduce the volume a bit more so I can comfortably listen to that. You will see.
Good morning, guten Tag, good morning.
You can see when Tony is singing, we see like this zigzag line, and if he's not doing anything, there's silence. Maybe you know this from some of the science fiction movies where this is the mouth of the robot which is talking, or maybe you have used an oscilloscope before, or But this is a so-called audio waveform. If something is happening, it goes up and down. If nothing is happening, it's going quiet. It's just a line. Now, let's tweak this, because obviously this looks not great. Starting with the color. There are actually two colors, you can see.
Yeah.
Sort of pink and a more reddish pink. And if we actually have if we zoom in, we can see, we can't really see, it's too small, but they are in there. by making it more visible, we can just increase the thickness, and then we would definitely see, yeah, there's a small, more pinkish in the center. And if we change that color, we would definitely, there we are.
Ooh, that
Right.
looks good. Yeah.
And now we can go ahead and tweak some of these settings. So let's talk about what those settings are. First of all, we can change the start and the end point, either by typing in the coordinates here or by just using the two points and just scaling and stretching that waveform all around.
And Tim,
Yeah.
Sean has asked, is the height connected to the volume when it peaks?
Mm-hmm.
Is that to do with volume?
It is.
Yeah, cool.
So if something is very quiet, like at the end, you will see it's only a bit that's going on. And if it's very loud, you will see it gets bigger. And we can change how much amplitude we would like to display by going to the maximum height property. Maximum height. Now it's 120, but we can bring that up. And now it's much bigger.
Cool. Ooh.
There we are. We can also tweak how much of the audio waveform we're seeing. And this is done with the audio duration in milliseconds. Right now, we're looking at a 125 millisecond chunk of the audio, which is about a tenth of a second. But if we want to look at more of that, we can increase that. And suddenly you will see we now have, if we, for example, go to the beginning of the thing, we can sort of see the resemblance. Like we have this peak, then it goes dark, and then it goes high again. And this is exactly what we see. We have this peak, it goes quiet, and then it comes up again. And now you will also notice the waveform is actually moving much slower.
Good morning. Guten Tag.
And right now, the center of our audio waveform, that's always where the current playhead is. So if you pay attention to when he starts saying good morning, you can see it's in the center.
Good morning. Good.
And yeah, if we don't want that, let's say we want to have the audio playback at the edge, we can offset that waveform by just moving that very carefully over to the right. And now, hopefully, the playback position should be sort of on this side.
Good morning. Guten Tag.
And it's
There we
really, it's a bit jittery. Is
Yes,
that
we
down
can also have a look at
to-
that.
Right, okay. Is that the sample rate that you mentioned earlier when if it was a bit jittery, you need to make it bigger? Or, 'cause you-
No, that's it's linked. It has similar properties, but the other jittery thing is really just if you hear like if you hear that, that's when you should. That's my sample rate impression.
that was good. I got it.
If you hear that, then you should check it. But this has nothing really to do with this. This
Right.
is really just stylistic choices. Because I should mention, we can change how many samples we would like. Either just a couple.
Guten Tag.
If we want that. Or maybe what you rather would like to have is a lot.
Yeah, this is good.
Guten Tag.
Right? Very
Yeah.
different suddenly. And I should also mention that if you don't want this zigzag line, you can change it from analog lines maybe to digital. And now we have lines
Ooh,
like this.
interesting.
And perhaps instead of, we can also change the softness, bring that down and use like a different color,
Loads of options
just
there.
white, bring down the thickness. And suddenly we have completely customized that look. Now it looks very different.
That's cool.
And I like to have, let's change back the audio offset to 0 and bring down the duration. I like to look at smaller increments. I don't want to see like whole seconds. That could be fun. All right.
Yeah, that looks different.
Okay.
Love this, Tim. Do you know what I love as well? I've been thinking about a podcast that we do within my team and ways that we can show. And instead of having a picture and sharing something, on a slide, I can actually have the waveforms of the podcast kind of being, like a more of an immersive experience rather than just
Yeah.
a slide. So this is perfect for this. Across the bottom of the presentation, if I'm talking about a podcast, perfect way to advertise.
Or
stuff like
even better, watch
that.
this.
Go on. Yeah.
Okay, so right now we have only, I can bring that back. By the way, this has a transparent background. I've just soloed the layer, that's why you only saw it. First of all, like you said, I could bring that down easily, like this. And now we have something that looks like this. Right, I've temporarily disabled the music because we don't want to listen to it all the time. But maybe, just maybe, we do have a round record. Wouldn't it be fun if we could have like the waveform going around the record?
Tim, this is very cool.
It turns out
We
you
can,
can,
right?
if you had a sneaky look down here below the endpoint, there's an option for you to add a path.
Yeah.
So how can we bring a path in here? First of all, we can literally go ahead, use the pen tool and just draw any random old path, just like that. Oh, maybe a bit more smoothly like this, and then select it. Right.
Wow.
And of
This is
course,
cool.
that path is editable, so you can tweak it any way you want. Let's say I don't like this overlapping. We can sort of bring it here. There we go. And suddenly we have a dancing waveform. Could be fun if we put that in the background, perhaps. But I don't want that. I actually want a circular path because I can not just have open paths like this, you can also have closed ones. So the way we're going to do that is just going to delete that once. And we're going to just take a path from the circle. We're just going to copy that and use it to paste it in here. So we just need a circular path. How do we get a circular path? Well, we could take a look at our shape layers. Go in there, ellipse, path. Ooh, look at that. What do we have here? We do have a path. I wonder if we could take this maybe and just paste that right here. Would that work?
And you've got a question from General Kenobi in the chat who would like to know, does the waveform indicate when there is clipping? In the timeline, the tracks seem to be clipping. Is that accurate or just an illustration?
Yes, we do have in the waveform. It looks, sorry, double L. Oh, I should enable that so we can see it. Yes. This is, spoiler alert, I've made that track and I have mixed it very loud, like very loud. So it looks like it's clipping. It's actually not clipping. It just looks like it. If you load in other tracks, you will see it's not like right up to the ceiling, but I mixed it in a way that it's like the waveform, it's going all the way to the top all the time. So it's super duper loud. That's why it looks like it's clipping. It's actually not. And we have limited resolution in here. So we can't actually see all the details, so it looks a bit like it's clipping. But like I said, it's not. So yeah. Right.
Oh, thanks, Tim.
Going back. Where were we? Oh yeah, of course. So
A
I
path.
want paths. So
Circular
I
path.
think I should just be able to copy that, but of course I might be misremembering. I did it yesterday. I'm probably doing something wrong. Or maybe. Might
don't
be
have the
that I
path
need to.
selected. Oh, here we are.
I might need to convert that into a Bezier path first. So I think this was under create. Now, oh dear. How do we do that again? Mask and shape path. I was pretty sure
And
it
while
was
you're
in
doing
here
that,
somewhere.
Tim,
Yes.
I'll just share that on Friday. we have an Adobe live stream with our very own Liz, who is going to be creating a Thanksgiving card. And so if you have any friends or family in the United States that are celebrating Thanksgiving, then tune in on Friday and you'll learn how to make one. So
I was pretty sure that you could convert that into a Bezier path, and I'm misremembering something. Yeah, it's right there. Convert to Bezier path. I'm probably doing something wrong. It's all right if we can't make that. But it should be able just to copy that. I'm pretty sure. I did it yesterday.
Oh no! Well, if you can't do it, then just draw it.
No. We will get it some way or another.
Love it. And
There we
everybody,
are.
if you have any questions for Tim, pop
Okay.
them in the chat and Behance, and I'll make sure that they get her.
What I did, I just used the pen tool, clicked once, and then pasted. There we go. Now it's working. I knew it.
Wow.
I thought I was going crazy. No, it's fine. It's working. It was me. After Effects, you were right. I was wrong. I know this is a give and take in the relationship.
It's not you.
I
It's
take a
me.
lot. You give me a lot. Now I have to give something to you back. Right. Okay. So we now finally have this path in here, which we can then select like this, and there we are. Okay. And of course, I would like to have that behind the record. So somewhere like here, and maybe not that much. So let's just tweak the height, bring that down to about here. Right. Much more fun than just having like something at the bottom.
Yeah, much more fun.
Okay, so let's style this a bit so it's looking nice, and then we will look at the second effect, the audio spectrum, in just a moment. All right, so let's see. Thickness, yes. Softness, no softness. Display samples, do we want more or less?
Oliver's, yes, Oliver, that is so true right now. It's the Taylor Swift, hey, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. Yes, very good, very good. And Sean's like, Turkey Day. Yes, it is Turkey Day.
Fantastic. Right, just going to fit
Really
that.
cool, Tim.
And there we are.
So
And
this
of course,
is the audio waveform, not the audio spectrum, right?
audio waveform. Yes, we will see the
Waveform,
difference between the audio waveform and the spectrum in a moment.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to, of course, since this is a Tim stream, I think you all know what's coming.
Yeah.
Bit of glow,
Always.
just to bring that in. And I think also the record deserves, I think, let's see, this one, yes. Although this does look cool with the more transparent record.
Yeah.
I do like it also, but no, let's keep it that way. And I will add just a quick bevel and emboss.
Make it pop, Tim.
So we have like this edge on the record. You can see.
That's
If
cool.
I
The shade.
disable that.
Sean's put glow in capital letters. I think you need more glow.
Yes, we will add more glow, I'm pretty sure. Okay. And there we go. Now, let's have a look at the second effect regarding audio, which in this case is the audio spectrum. So right now we had a look at the waveform in time, but we can also have a different way of looking at the audio, and I will just twirl all that down, clean that up, and create a new solid. Call that one spectrum. Name your layers, everybody.
And Joe Allen, hey Joe. Joe says, looked away for a second, and somehow the waveform has wrapped the record. Very cool.
No, should have paid attention. Okay. So, audio spectrum.
Yeah. The other cousin.
The other
to the
cousin.
audio waveform.
Let's just solder that again. And we can see, yes, we have to select the audio layer once again. So if we have maybe more than one audio layer in our composition, we need to know which one it is. In this case, it is the only MP3 once again. And now you can see it's looking similar, like I said, but also different. Let's just bring the thickness and use the same colors, white, so we can actually see what's going on. And this is a different representation. This is sort of similar like if you have like an EQ on your fancy hi-fi stereo. We have the frequencies. On the left, we have the low frequencies, and on the right, we have the high frequencies. So if Tony starts singing, you can actually see, that's why he's singing. Let's just enable the audio again so we can.
Okay, I see.
Good morning, guten Tag, good morning.
See the bass down here is now playing, drums is coming in. Right. So these are another way to have a look at audio. This is the frequencies, starting with low on the left and high or bright on the right. And the nice thing about this is it has very similar controls to the audio waveform. We can specify the beginning and the end. We can once again specify a path. So if I were to copy that again, we can again have a circular one if we wanted to, or maybe a triangular one, a hexagonal path. Who knows? Anything you want.
Nice.
Well, actually, let's just show that. Let's use a star for this.
Ooh, yeah, cool.
And
I think
mask
this one is less disruptive than the other one because the other one's got lots of spikes. And this one's more of a disco. This is cool.
Right? Easy.
I prefer the spectrum to the waveform.
Well, they have different purposes. Yes.
They-
We can specify the start frequency. This is in hertz, so 20 hertz. That's like a very low bass. That's the human hearing limit, the lower limit. And we can also specify the higher frequency. In this case, it's set to 2000. That's actually not the human hearing limit. However, if we set it to actually 20,000, which is about what humans can hear, we will see that everything usually happens in the left corner. So there's nothing really happening on the right side. If we increase the size once again by increasing the height, we do see, yep, there is something going on, but most of what's interesting is happening in the left corner. So that's why the default settings shift everything over a bit like this, so we can focus on the interesting part. We can also bring that much more down, so we are now really looking at the bass parts.
Good morning, guten Tag, good morning.
Right? This is like Tony's good. That's what it is. Oop, nope, sorry, didn't want to do that. So yeah. And once again, I will just, in this case, I will actually just put that at the lower corner. We can also just have one side if we want that. We can use like the squiggly lines once again if we prefer that. If you would like to have a line instead of those digital ones, or we could just use dots. If that's what you are into.
Lots of options. I prefer the first one, but yeah.
So I'm just gonna put that here. Or I could just type the numbers in, would probably be a good idea to make sure it's actually at the bottom. So 1080, 1080. There we are.
Cool.
And this is probably way too much. So let's decrease the audio, the height. There it is. Just bring that down to about right here. And let's unsolo the layer again so we can see the rest. And we sort of have our first look. So just fit that. There we go.
Very
and I'm
cool.
gonna mute that. Right. Of course. Now we are running into some issues. First of all, this processing, this takes time. And we can see that if we have a look at the frame render time down here, it's getting orange, which means it's no longer real time, possibly. So it might be worth just having a bit of a pre-render to make sure.
I'd never realized that was down there in After Effects so that we could see.
New.
That's because this is the bit that worries me because my laptop isn't like yours. Like you've got a big whole big system. You've got like an engineering laptop or something, right? I'm just using a little, what have I got? A little Lenovo laptop. So yeah, so that's amazing. That's like a warning of pre-render, isn't it?
And you can also have a look at, if you click on the snail, you can see which layer is causing render time.
Brilliant.
You can see like this one apparently is costing us a lot for whatever reason.
Oh. And Tim, Joe did mention in the chat that, he said a little nitpick. Surely the light on the record shouldn't be spinning, only the center label. And then General Kenobi had replied, if the record is not perfectly flat, I think the reflections spin too. So there was a...
Yes, I know, but I like the look of that, and I want to show that we can parent to objects again. I know it's technically not supposed to spin like that, but stylistic choice, Joe.
Yes.
Have you heard of that before? I can do what I want. You're not my mom. Okay. What I wanted to talk about is that, of course, you don't have to stop here. You can modify those effects in any shape or form you want. For example, let's say we take this and reduce the opacity maybe and duplicate that and bring up the maximum height like this. So now we have like this sort of stacked effect. And we could maybe duplicate that once again. And bring down
I've
the
seen
height.
Mogart motion graphic templates of this exact kind of technique. There's like waveforms of, well, this isn't a waveform, is it? This is the spectrum, but
yes,
I've seen it with the different, the lights like this.
Maybe
Yeah,
then we can use the dots as an end piece and
very cool.
Bring down the thickness. And then, of course, I mean, you know what's going to happen. Add some glow. Yes.
Yay.
Bring down the opacity.
Can we add like bright glow?
Yes.
Like make it bright pink or something cool. Or yellow to match the record.
Or yellow, who knows?
Something like bright.
Can use a white inside and maybe yellow outside.
General Kenobi said, let's just say Tim put his own spin on it.
Hey!
Top pan. Very good.
Okay. I'm just going to bring that in and make it glow. All right. And now we have a completely custom look, which we can then bring in perhaps something like this. Yeah, anyway, to really make it our own and see what you can do with it. Very fun. Right, now I do have something that I would like to show you, which is a third way to use your audio and create reactions based on the audio waveform. Remember at the beginning of the stream, someone asked about Sandrine asked about animating properties based on audio. I think that was sort of the question. So, how can we do that? Let's say we have, in this background, it's lovely. It's a very clean background, certainly, but I feel like we could add some texture to the background. And I've prepared this lovely paper swirly ink texture, which I do like a lot. You've seen this in plenty of other streams on the crash courses before. So I'm just going to bring that in, move it all the way down, perhaps scale that in such a way like this. Okay. And use a blend mode. How about soft light? Or maybe...
That's really cool.
Vivid light. Ooh, look at that. That's neat.
Keep that.
Just play with the transparency. Right. And let's say I would like to have this background move and scale based on the audio waveform. So if we have like a huge bwam, bwana, bwam, bwam, bwana, I want to have it move back and forth. And I could go ahead and do that by hand, or I could make it automatically with the keyframe assistant. Right. So let's see how we can do that.
Cool.
I will go ahead and click on the waveform, do a right click, and go to the keyframe assistant. And the only option which is not grayed out is convert audio to keyframes. If I click on that, After Effects will analyze the waveform, create a new layer, and add an effect to it. In this case, left channel, right channel, and both channels. Because we have stereo. And if we hit U, we can see this now has a keyframe for every frame of the composition. And we can visualize that by going over to the graph editor and, of course, zooming out and making sure our waveform is included. And now we should see if we make sure that's scaled. Why are we not seeing anything? Once again, that should come in here. It is there. After Effects, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong again. It might be, yep, that it's not enabled. Yeah, it was muted, so there was nothing to generate. Let's try that again. But this time,
when you're working on this, Tim, how big is your screen, by the way? Because I have to scroll down. If the more layers I add, I have to keep scrolling down.
Yeah.
On mine. So do you how big it? Give us an idea of the size of the screen that you're working from to make this, because you're adding more and more. It's big. Oh, just normal screen.
It's a 4K screen.
Huh.
Yeah, not too big. The resolution is, however, changed to, first of all, have it nicely displayed on stream so you can see what's going on. Normally, I would use even a smaller scale so I could fit even more objects in here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so
yeah, this is a 4K panel.
Fab.
Which also means I can zoom in like this and not lose any resolution. It's amazing. Right, so the issue why I didn't see anything was I had it muted, and of course a muted waveform, that's awfully quiet. There's no audio in that, so let's try that once again. Keyframe Assistant, convert, go in, and there we have it. Now we can actually see what's going on. If we zoom in, we can see.
Good morning.
Oops, this view. There you go.
Good morning. Guten Tag.
Right? We can see when Tony is singing something, then it goes up, and if he's not singing anything, it goes down. And now these are just normal keyframes, so we can use them for anything we want. Let's say we would like to parent the scale of the background layer by hitting S. We want just to take this and parent that to, let's say, the left channel. It doesn't matter since they're mostly the same. Suddenly you will notice the background is moving. And if you pay close attention, if I just solo that layer, you will see.
Good morning. Guten Tag. Good morning. Guten morning.
Right? It's moving with the waveform.
Oh.
But two issues. One, the background shouldn't be smaller than the frame. That's not good. And the second, it's moving like quite a lot. It's going back and forth. That's not really what we want. So we need to limit the movement of the layer, and we need to smooth the high frequency there, so it's not like going back and forth. And we will use two expressions for that. First of all, we will have a look at the linear expression, and we will have a look at the smooth expression. And let's start with the smooth one because it's the easiest. Let's go in here, hold on once again the Option key, go in here, and now take that away and type smooth. And in here, we have two parameters. First of all, we can have 215 just to see what's going on. And need to enable that. There we are. So we're now looking at the raw data, which are these keyframes, and we're looking at the result, which is this line here. Don't know if you can see that. Let's go in here.
Yeah.
This is the raw data. This is the result. And the smooth expression basically looks at a window of time and tries to smooth out the keyframes. This, in this case, means in 2 seconds from left to right, so 1 second to the left from the playhead and 1 second to the right, it takes 5 samples, so it takes 5 keyframes, let's say this one, that one, that one, that one, and that one, and then tries to average the height of the keyframes, the values. We can tweak that. Let's say we don't want 2 seconds, maybe we want 0.2 seconds. And now you can see the waveform is now more in tune with the original one. And this is really a case again where we can tweak. Now it's getting really smooth. You can see it's very smooth. I know it's very tricky to see. Unfortunately, we can't really color it in. I know it's unfortunate, but
you can see it getting smoother there.
Yeah, and now it's sort of, if you can see that it's following the original data, but very smoothly. So we don't have any of the harsh spikes. And now I feel like if we play that back, this should be still quite big and small, but at least it's more smooth.
It is more smooth.
Right,
And,
just more calmed down.
Yeah, and in After Effects, can't you not do what you do in Premiere Pro, where you right-click on the content and say scale to frame size so that it stays?
Yes, we can. However, the issue is we are basing the property of the scaling on these keyframes, and now these keyframes decide how big the object is. We can't scale it anymore. If I were to try to go down here and scale it, you will notice it doesn't do anything. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's linked. If you don't want to deal with the smooth expression, you can also highlight all the keyframes. Sorry, not all the keyframes, of course, only the keyframes in here. Let's try that again. There we are. And you can use the smoother panel, which then you can add a tolerance and apply that, and this will then smooth out the keyframes for you. This is similar to the expression, but I feel like the expression is more versatile. And if you don't see the smoother panel, you can just apply that, for example, if you like. Now you can see the After Effects went in and smoothed out the waveform, but I don't actually want that. If you don't see the panel, just have a quick look at the window and then smoother panel here. Okay. Right, first step done. Now the image is scaling more smoothly. Amazing. But this doesn't fix the issue we have with the size of thing. And for that, we need the so-called linear expression. And to better illustrate what the linear expression does, because I think it's quite tricky to fully understand it without any reference images, I have prepared a small infographic, which I will try to just show that for you. Let's see if I can do that. Whoop. There we go. You should hopefully see that.
Yeah.
So the linear expression, it takes an input value on the left in blue and sort of squeezes or squishes that onto a new set of values onto the right. In this case, let's say our values start from 20 and they go up to 80 of whatever pixels, I don't know, and we only want them to go from 40 to 60, we can take this expression and sort of squeeze everything down. Very useful. Of course, this also works the other way around, so we can also take this expression to sort of increase that. So we can also do something like this. Oop.
This is so cool. How are you doing this?
Like,
Very cool.
This is also possible. Like we can take any two ranges of values and just either expand them or squeeze them. Very useful. There are two ways, or two big ways to squeeze those values or squish them around. One is linearly. So we have like a curve that looks like this. For values that are lower than the threshold, you would just clamp them down. And if they're higher, you will also clamp them. And in the center, it's behaving linearly. Or you can also use the ease expression if you want to have them more smoothly instead of just linearly. So that's essentially the difference between the two.
Cool. You have to see like this with the diagram. I think the ease is definitely the one we're going for, right?
Yes, I would also say, because we want like smooth zooms and so we would definitely use the ease one for this.
Very cool.
Okay, right. So now I'm going to switch back to my Mac. Just going to close that. And
we have got 15 minutes, well, actually 13 minutes left, everybody.
Plenty of
get
time.
Your questions in for Tim. If you've got any questions on this, then let us know on Behance. Pop them in the chat.
All right. So let's actually use that expression, the linear one. We'll take that. We will go down to our scale. We don't need the graph anymore. Actually, we do need the graph because we want to see what sort of the range of scale is. So let's go over to scale. We can see it sort of starts at 0 and goes up to, I would say, about 45, 50. Yeah, I think this is sort of the highest, 48. Yeah, 47. So I think our input ranges will be from 0 to what, 50, let's say, right? Okay, so let's go in and type in temp. So we're just taking the value which we have grabbed automatically, and we will say temp is temp. This is the value we want to change. Then the minimum input, like we said, 0. Then the maximum input which it could have, which is about 50 in our case, and now our desired values, which we would like to, how much we would like to scale the final image. And I reckon that would be about 80 to 90%. So 80 as a minimum, 90 as a maximum. The reason why I'm saying 80 and 90 is I've tried this before, and I think if I remember correctly, those values work about the best. Work around, like, yeah, there we are.
Oh, cool.
And now
and
it's
these are
only...
done through expressions.
Yes.
Sorry, Tim.
No, it's all right. And now you can see, if we actually have a look at the values, you can see they are only hovering between 80 and 90, and now it's much more relaxed and staying in frame, exactly what we want. So once again, to recap what we've just done, we've taken the original values, which go from 0 to 50, and we sort of squeezed and squished and moved them around so they go from 80 to 90. In other words, 80 is the new 0 and 90 is the new 50.
Very cool. I love it. And where did the blue go? Because there was a nice blue kind of tint.
Yes. The reason why we're just looking at gray is because I've soloed the layers so we can see what's going on. But if I unsolo them, then it's all coming back. And there we are.
It's all coming back to me.
All right. And now if we play that back, we will see that the layer is now moving back and forth, like oscillating, bouncing sort of. And we can also hopefully appreciate the amazing and fantastic design we've created in these 90 minutes.
Good morning, guten Tag, good morning.
So you can see the background is moving when Tony is saying something. This is especially noticeable at the beginning.
Good morning, guten Tag.
Yeah.
And depending on how we tweak the smoothness of the keyframes and how much, or if we want less of that, if we want to have it more jittery, then we can really go in. And of course, we don't just have the opportunity to modify the scale. We can also do like the rotation maybe. So this text could be like spinning, good morning. Or we could have like a particle system, and depending on how loud the waveform is, we could have like more particles, more confetti or less confetti. We could really trigger any effect that can be keyframeable based on audio, and that's really something I do like a lot. Now, as like the last few minutes, I would like to talk about motion graphics templates.
Yes, I use these every week, so I'm here for this.
Yes. And also, I would just like to have a look at the other one, which I've made yesterday. Yes, I would like to save it.
Here's something I made earlier. It's what we say on UK TV. Something we made earlier.
This is the one I've made yesterday. You see, looks very similar. And I've added a couple of more effects, like I've added some glow to this, added some bevel to the spindle in the center, like a drop shadow, and some more glow down here. So yeah, definitely different ways to style your own project. But yeah, I wanted to talk about motion graphics templates very quickly because it's only two things I can talk about. First of all, in my mind, I really wanted to create a motion graphics template where you can swap out the album art and swap out the title and the song, but unfortunately, that's not possible.
Oh no.
You can't have it. If I go to Essential Graphics, if I try, you can see I have already changed. I've tried it. Like this works fine. You can replace the image of the cover art. That's fantastic. But if you try to bring that in, it won't work. It will say, sorry, no. So yeah, this is unfortunately not working. However, what is working is you can still make a motion graphics templates with that sound, with that song, bring it into Premiere, and you will still hear the audio. So audio can be embedded in motion graphics templates, but you can't change it. Maybe that's coming in a future update. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of motion graphic templates with sound. I think all of the ones that I use are more title based.
Yeah, but it
They're
can
not,
be like quite fun if you have like a title and you want to have like a or boom in there when it pops up the title. That can be fun.
Okay, I see.
So
I
it
see how
works?
or a whoosh or
Or
something.
whooshing. But you can't change the sound, unfortunately.
Okay. But you could add there's a motion graphic template that we've used for like film awards, and there's like a star, like a firework almost that goes across the screen, and names can kind of come up.
Yeah.
And so you'd need like a twinkly sound, that's kind of, that sound that would go with something like that. Okay, so you can't edit it, you can't take it out, you can't silence it then. In one of those, you would just.
I mean, silencing is very easy. You can do it in Premiere by just muting the track, but no, unfortunately not. You can. I guess you can if you apply like the mute effect, and you can link that mute effect to a slider, and you can bring that slider in here, so you can change the volume. That is possible, definitely, yes. But you can't change the audio for like a different track, which of course would have been ideal with a template like this. So you can produce all the.
Perfect.
But unfortunately, it doesn't work. And also the other issue is the keyframe assistant effect, where we moved the background. You can see that's bouncing. I've also added some particles in the background. That is also a one-time effect. So you would have to go in and recreate those keyframes with the keyframe assistant. That's not automatable, at least not that I know.
Right. That's a shame, because you should be able to purchase like a template for a sound wave or something, even though it's not exactly accurate to the sound that it would be playing against. It's a good visual, isn't it?
I mean, maybe some engineers are listening. If you are, please.
Yes.
It would be very niche, but it would make me very happy. Anyway, okay.
Same.
So now as a final lookout, because we mostly left the waveforms alone. We didn't really change too much. What I would like to show you is this very fun effect, is where you can automatically highlight
cool.
the bright part, like the most loudest part of a waveform.
Good morning.
Oops, sorry. The way you're going to do that is very cleverly using, if I disable that, I can just hide that. there
And the effect that
is,
you've got on this is cool. I like the neon and the colours. Very
Right.
cool.
there is something called hue interpolation, which essentially just means you can color something. And if I make that more colorful, you can actually see what's going on. Right. So if I twist this knob, you can see I can add color. And if you have this checkbox here, which is called dynamic hue phase enabled, it will always have the same hue at the loudest point. In this case,
Dynamic hue phase. That sounds like something I need in my
Red.
life.
I know. In this case, After Effects will automatically put red wherever the loudest part of the audio wave, the spectrum is. In this case, right here, you can see. So the color red is moving. Sometimes it's over here. Sometimes the red is over there. If I disable that, then the color will always be at the same place and it won't move.
Yeah.
So if you take that and you use like a clever effect called the colorama effect, and you only isolate the red, maybe, and color that, make the rest black, you essentially can isolate a certain part of the waveform, add a glow, bring back the rest, and now you only have a glow effect around a certain area.
That looks very Knight Rider. I like that. Yeah, very cool. That is very cool. Very Knight Rider. Very
And
cool.
you can really have some fun just playing around with the waveforms. For example, you can also, if I create a new comp really quickly, because we only have 3 minutes, I would just like to show you a really fun one. Just take this again. New, solid, yes. Effects. Waveform. And use the MP3. So there we are once again. And let's say I want to smooth that out a bit. So just make the height much bigger. You can see all the zigzag. Maybe I want to have more like an analog way of displaying that. The way you can do that is, it's quite fun. You can blur, using maybe a fast box blur. You can blur this to about here. And then you can sharpen it again using levels.
Cool.
And in here, you can change this to alpha, which just means transparency. Now, if you clamp down those values once again, you can bring back the sharpness to about here. And suddenly, you have this more analog-like effect, which, of course, like we have learned before, can now reduce that, play with the thickness to maybe around here, change that perhaps to a nice fluorescent green.
Love this. This is added to the list now, especially waveform, which is one of the first ones that you showed. That and intertwine are on my list now.
And you know me, say it with me, add
Get the
a
glow.
glow.
Add the glow, Tim. Love it.
And maybe some noise, and suddenly you have this very cool analog waveform.
Guten Tag.
Yes,
And there-
Stefan makes a good point, Tim. It could be a cool brush for Photoshop as well.
Maybe.
That's cool. Actually, that's a really good way of thinking about it. A good idea.
Maybe. So yeah, this, I wanted just to show you this so you can have like maybe an idea of how you can customize and create your very own waveform. And there are even more options we haven't even talked about, which are possible. You can play with the softness, and you can maybe play with the blur radius. You can create like a really smooth waveform. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Let it glow. Well, Tim, this has been lovely. I mean, this kind of deep dive into After Effects and audio, you've shown so many things today. So it's been really good, really, really good. And as you all know, I mentioned it earlier, but just a quick reminder, we're back on Friday with another Adobe Express stream. And if you've got friends or family in America, then we'll be creating a Thanksgiving card. So that will be on Friday. But other than that, everybody, have an amazing rest of your week. And we will see you same time, same place on Monday, or well, after the Friday stream, of course, next week. So we'll be back. Thanks, Tim.
That sounds like a threat.
It'll be a threat. No, but I'm gonna add more dynamic hue phase into my life. I think that's gonna be like the new phrase. I love it, Tim. Well, yes, we will be back, everyone. So thank you for joining today. Thanks for all the questions. And Tim, thank you. You're just a superstar.
See you around. Bye for
Bye,
now.
everyone.